Assalamu alaikum, Zubair. How are you?
I am very well, Farhan. How are you today?
I'm having great time here, and specifically to be with you. It's such an honor for me. So tell me about yourself. What do you do? How about your education, and where do you work?
Farhan, honor is mine. I really feel privileged that I'm talking to you. I think you are such an inspirational person. I'm very much impressed. I have seen a number of your videos and have seen you rocking the audience. If I were younger than you, I should have my dream that when I grow up, I will become Farhan Jamil. But it seems that I am older than you. So unfortunately, I cannot have my childhood dream of becoming Farhan. But I think there are a number of people who would be watching this video and they
Hmm.
will say, hey, when I grow up, I would become Farhan Jamil. About me, I am currently a chief evening fellow at Oxford Center for Islamic Studies, where
Hmm.
I am working on a book project about Islam, Constitution, and Human Rights. This book would be published by Cambridge University Press. Um, and I'm also an editor of a Sharia law source, which is an initiative of Harvard Law School.
Amazing.
Um, and Yes, that is about my current research. And I did my PhD. We call it DPhil in law at Oxford,
All right.
and I've been teaching for the past 1 decade. I have taught in Egypt. I have taught in Oxford in summer schools, and I have also been teaching at professional academies like Punjab Judicial Academy, Sharia Academy, and have also provided a training through international organizations just like Max Planck Foundation in Heidelberg, Germany.
All right. That's wonderful. So just as you were appreciating me in the beginning and you were saying that you cannot have that dream achieved, that you cannot become Farhan Jamil, but I am privileged if you are a bit older than me. So I'm privileged that I can become Zubair one day, inshallah, and will be, I mean, whatever you are doing right now, just as you have the international exposure of teaching, of learning, I might also get that. And one day I'll also try to become Zubair. So, but anyway, thank you so very much for your appreciation. Now, moving on toward the topic, just as you were saying that it's been a decade that you are teaching and you have got so much into the learning side as well. Let's talk about the youth. Let's talk about the students. Let's talk about the people who are going to rule the world quite near soon. What's your opinion? Are they on the right track or not?
Farhan, I think most of our audience would be Pakistani, so
Hmm.
I would contextualize whatever I say within
Hmm.
Pakistani context. But I do
Perfect.
appreciate that we live in a globalized world. So whatever references I would be making, I'll be referring to other countries
Hmm.
also.
Hmm.
Um, so what are the aspirations of youth? I think you may it would be a youth who would be better placed to answer that question. I
Hmm.
think I'm out of that category. Although we have a young prime minister of 67 years old, but I think in my late 30s,
Hmm.
um, um, I uh, I I can just only tell you when I was youth once upon a time.
Hmm.
Um, if we look into the current situation, the
Hmm.
stats, we
Hmm.
see that 15,000 uh, people turn 18 every day in Pakistan.
Hmm.
Our under 30 population, if youth is the standard, I just when I say youth, I look into cricketers and footballers. So
Hmm.
what age do they retire? What is their peak time? So if 30 is the highest
Retirement
age
time
period,
to retirement.
then 67% of Pakistani population is under 30.
Hmm.
That is 208 million people.
Hmm.
That is a big number. It's many European countries put together. So
Hmm.
that is the population, or that is the demography, that is the subject matter that we are dealing with today. Um, And so yes, I think it's really great that we are talking about this topic, and
Hmm.
I really thank you for suggesting this topic for today's discussion.
All right. So, I mean, if this is such a big number, just as you were mentioning, so what do you think? What are the problems that they are facing? I mean, if when they see, when they try to, or so foresee their future, so what are the problems that they see, and what are the solutions for that? In a very general context, we are not talking about the education only. We are not talking about the career. It's about the future in a broader term. What do you think about that?
Okay, now uh, when we look into into the numbers, and we look
Hmm.
into the chief characteristics,
Hmm.
out of these 208 million, only
Hmm.
12%
Hmm.
have graduated after graduated from 12th grade,
Hmm.
and there is 10 million population of working age, they are unemployed.
Hmm.
But still there is dire lack of skilled workers. So what's going on in here, in our country?
Hmm.
So these numbers, they are speaking on their own. We don't need any demagogue or any scientist or Einstein who should tell us, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
2/5 of the working population is uneducated.
Hmm.
2/5 of the working population we are talking
Hmm.
about. Um, and in our country, 22.6 children are out of school.
Hmm.
With the current pace of literacy rate, we
Hmm.
will achieve 100% literacy rate in 2076.
Hmm.
By that time, I'm sure that I would be dead. You might be alive, Farhan, to see that day. But I must say that
I'll
I
be a
will
closer
die
to
a
that.
very
I'll
painful.
meet you.
But I must say that I will die a very painful death if that were to happen. That I die, and in my country there are millions of children who
Hmm.
have not gone to school. Now, why I am emphasizing education? Because I am um, affiliated with the education institution. But with education comes employment. With
Hmm.
employment comes empowerment. With
Hmm.
empowerment comes political engagement. So these
Hmm.
four E's, they are very much connected. So if you want to see roots to any problems Pakistan is facing,
Hmm.
mention any big problem we are facing, right?
Hmm.
Whether it is law and order situation,
Okay.
whether it is economic lethargy, right? So economic development, lack of economic activity.
Hmm.
In one way or the other, they are linked with lack of education in our country. Still, we are at the bottom of spending in terms of percentage, not in the world, not in the world,
Hmm.
even within the region in South Asia, our percentage of
Hmm.
spending on education. And still, education department is one of the most corrupt when it comes to stats. So
Hmm.
whatever money is being spent, even that is going to drain, right? So we will talk more about challenges and opportunities.
Hmm.
Hey, 64% population, over 200 million people,
Hmm.
their asset, right? So you talk about minerals, you talk about gold mines, you talk about pearls or whatever.
Hmm.
200 million pearls need to be educated, need to be empowered, need to
Hmm.
be engaged, need to be employed. So that is our real asset, and we
Hmm.
need, we need to focus on that.
Perfect. A very good definition, by the way. This is the grassroots, this is the baby step that we should take to, for like, if we take it, only then we can think about the development. Only then we can think about the new Pakistan term might be. Yeah, true. But how about those people who are studying, who are educated, who have got the piece of paper as a degree, but they are not enlightened the way you were saying earlier? How about those people? What do you think? The universities, the education system, is it doing justice with the youth or not?
Farhan, I'm very much impressed by your background. You have lots of certificates. Honestly, they are wonderful, and it has restored my confidence in university education. Although, in my estimation, university as an education has lived its existence, or its functionality, or its use. So
Hmm.
what happens is that there is this concept of path dependence. If
Hmm.
something starts, then it keep on recurring itself, even if its utility has gone. There are so many things in our personal life, in our collective life. So they had some kind of utility at the time when they were started. I mean, take the example of Ganga being the most sacred river, because at that time it was sacred when
Hmm.
they started treating it as sacred. But
Hmm.
when they started dumping dead bodies and sewage into it, it's not sacred river anymore, right?
Hmm.
So same like universities, when they were started off, so there were very interesting kind of analogies between university and factory. So you
Hmm.
come on time, you start on time, and then you leave on time. So
Hmm.
because collective uh, uh, production of goods, and collective production of knowledge, and students being good, and then you stamp, and there you have, education being commercialized, right?
Hmm.
So just like you have a workflow on your factory, things just come and you stamp, and here we also do into your universities. Things come, you stamp, and they just go, right?
True.
Now, I think university as an institution has lived its utility.
Hmm.
We don't need universities in the way they are, right?
All right.
Now, pandemic has told us that you don't need to make students sit in your classrooms from 9 to 5
Hmm.
and listen to grumpy and boring professors like myself, right? Whether
Okay.
you are willing or not.
Hmm.
Yeah. So now the future is that you have this knowledge, you go through it, and then you have your questions.
Hmm.
There are some things which are not clear. You read something and you find something is not clear. You go to professor and have one-to-one interaction, right? So
Hmm.
that human interaction, and that has been, by the way, going on for
Hmm.
centuries. So only two universities in the world do it.
Hmm.
So at Oxford and Cambridge, education does not happen as a mass production that you have lectures and then
Hmm.
hundreds of students sit and listen to these venerated professors, and then they just go take notes, and then they do MCQs, and then that is it. No, at Oxford and Cambridge, what happens? In Oxford you have 39 colleges. Each
Hmm.
college will take 10 to 15 students, and they will have 5 to 7 professors.
Hmm.
Each professor will become a tutor to two students, just two
Hmm.
students. and
Amazing.
and all the learning will happen one to one, right?
Hmm.
But it's so expensive that it's not affordable for many institutions. So what happens is that Oxford and Cambridge, they have endowments. So they were established in a way that you have the college, and then college have endowment. It has rent generating properties. Either they have
Hmm.
assets or
Hmm.
they have bank accounts. So what happens? One of the busiest and the most expensive streets in London is Oxford Street.
Hmm.
Most of its property is owned by not the Queen, not some bank, but Trinity College, Cambridge. So
Hmm.
what happens that whatever rents are generated from those properties, they are spent for the education, right? So now you can have 1 to 2 ratio. So you have one
Hmm.
professor, two students, right? It's not possible to run, but Farhan, pandemic has told us that it is very much possible.
Hmm.
we live in a globalized world, so this tutoring is possible. This is how the education should happen in future. You have books, read books, you have YouTube, you have Coursera, you have edX, you have Udemy. You just go, do your research on particular topic, and then come to me. I'm a professor. I will give
Hmm.
you one-to-one session, right? So what is not clear? You write down
Hmm.
an essay. I will give you. I will edit it, and then
Hmm.
we will discuss, right? So this is how education will happen. I see this is the future of education. So where, and I think this is something which Coursera and edX have still to realize. So they just
Hmm.
thought that, oh, putting these AI and everything, they will just have mass production of knowledge, and then they will also start producing revenue. But that human element is missing, right?
Hmm.
I am a professor. I just told you that when I was setting up this Global Institute of Law,
Hmm.
Oxford,
Hmm.
I approached my professors whom I have had interactions decades ago,
Hmm.
and they remember me. They cherish me. I remember them. It's a relationship which is deeper than my relationship with my biological parents.
Hmm.
My professor Wilka, my professor Raj Brown, even my school day professor, Professor Nazir Chinvi, my school teacher Zafrus Samad, they, the affiliation I have had is just deeper than I have with my
Hmm.
father. So my professor Dr. Muhammad Munir and my father Muhammad Munir, I'm closer to my professor Dr. Muhammad Munir than to my father Muhammad Munir.
Hmm. That's nice. So it means you believe that in the education system, the first thing that we should do, we should not think about the quantity. It should only be about the quality that has only been done when you are providing the more interactive classes, more interactive learning with one to one, one to two. That's a wonderful approach. And secondly, just as you were saying, this should be done, and this is more like a factory thing. And just as you were saying, the pandemic has given us the real exposure of education. Just as we are talking right now, one to one, so it's more interactive. Of course, I mean we cannot have the distractions at all. Secondly, universities, institutions, they were just showing their buildings, the environment, and they were making money through that. They like it's a big university. You can't afford to have a university like that. You can't afford to have an institution like that. It means you're not institution at all. People will not follow you. Yes, true. And I also take it like it's not only about the universities, it's also about the public. We have to give them the awareness that do not go with the flow, do not go for the quantity thing. If everybody is going there to that institution, that's a mean that I also have to go there. No, take your decision rationally, wisely. I agree with you. But now my question is, we have got the thing that what we should do, the what is the solution, how can we start doing this? Is it about giving awareness to the government, to the teachers, to the institutions, or to the students? Who should, like, from where do we have to take a start?
Look, Farhan, my philosophy towards research and teaching is that if you want to resolve a problem,
Hmm.
first of all, you have to understand it.
Yeah.
If you understand it, then it becomes you're just there to resolve it.
True.
So, so your query towards a problem does not start by looking for solutions,
Hmm.
but
It's more
your
about defining the problem. Good.
it's understanding the phenomena, right?
Hmm.
Now, it's very easy. Let's go back to youth. It's very easy to say that look, Pakistan has this higher population growth, and by the way, it is.
Hmm.
So Bangladesh, East Pakistan, their population was more than us, and that's why we had this constitution problem, and then the country separated. Right
Hmm.
now, Bangladesh is 165 million, and we are 210 million. And
Hmm.
if you want me to put into perspective, so that extra 60 million or 55 million, that is the population of whole of United Kingdom,
Hmm.
England,
Hmm.
Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
Hmm.
Within 50 years, our population has actually surpassed Bangladesh. Now it's very easy to paint it as a problem and
Hmm.
then telling the youth, hey guys, zip up, right? So, no, this is basically an opportunity. Young population. I mean, if you just look into our neighborhood, one
Hmm.
of the biggest challenge that China will face in near future. It's
Hmm.
not US, it's not Russia, it's their aging population. And
Hmm.
if you want more, another example, Japan, its
Hmm.
population decreased one third within the span of one generation. One third population would be wiped out because there are not enough babies. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I think it's the perception, it's the understanding of the phenomena
Hmm.
that makes it either a challenge or as an opportunity. So our
Hmm.
perception is really important. So we were talking about the problem. Now, whatever problem is that, let's try to dissect it. And this is really important. This is what need to be taught and is not taught. So basically, I tell my students that our class is about to graduate.
Hmm.
And one of the take home point that I tell them that, look, please don't let university education come between you and wisdom, right? So universities are basically meant to create certain type of citizens who are obedient, who have studied Islamic studies and Pakistan studies. They
Hmm.
believe in certain type of narrative. They are made to
Citizenship.
think in a
Yeah.
certain way.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I am not saying that this is wrong. Every state does it.
Hmm.
Every state does it. Of course, at the end of the day, state building, state security, law and order, right? This is really important.
Hmm.
And I won't undermine it. But at least we should know what we don't know. And we should
Hmm.
know what we know. Yeah. So university students, you study Islamic studies, you study Pakistan studies,
Hmm.
perfectly fine. Right? But you should also know that it's a particular perspective that's being given to you, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So one of the challenges I think for students is that universities don't prepare them and
Hmm.
deliberately, right? I'm trained as a legal historian. I just want to give you one example.
Hmm. Please.
You would know if you were a student in metric or in FSC or in BA.
Hmm.
In English, you would never score more than 60%. That would be the highest you can do it, right? Because
Right.
I studied elective. But in Arabic and Persian, you can score until 98%, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
this was deliberately done that a native does not have the mind to grasp English. The maximum a native can get in this foreign language is 60%.
Hmm.
But in other languages, in maths, you can score 100%. In Arabic, in Persian, in political science, you can
Hmm.
score.
Hmm.
But in English, you cannot score more than 60, right? And that has been ingrained in us in such a way that in number of our rural areas, students, the highest ratio of failure is in English. In CSS, majority of people fail. In essay writing,
Hmm.
in English,
True.
I want to ask them, what are your standards? How you fail in essays? Because the standards are not defined and you actually control, you exercise power by keeping your standards deliberately vague and by manipulating your standards in such a way that you intellectually colonize people,
Hmm.
the mindsets, right? So youth, this is what I want to tell the youth. Understand these things. It's not the local hegemony, it's not the colonial hegemony. There is also global hegemony, there is
Hmm.
local hegemony, right? So there is a lot more going on. So nothing which you read or you're taught should go without reflection. You must think why why this thing is being taught the way it is taught.
Hmm.
Why I cannot score more than 60% in English? Because it's just like Persian, it's just like Arabic, it's just like French or any other language. Why?
Hmm. True. Have you ever listened to the caveman story, the
Oh,
caveman
so,
theory, the caveman theory?
no, please enlighten me.
The caveman theory, there was a person, there was a group of people, there were a group of people who were living in a cave, and someone was giving them an artificial life exposure by showing them an artificial sun, artificial birds, artificial mountains, artificial forest, and everything. One person out of those people came out of that cave, and he figured it out that there is a real sun out there that's totally different, more beautiful, and all. There is a mountain, there are the real time trees. So they are the real beauty. What they were showing us in the cave, everything is not real. And when that person went back to the cave to enlighten those people that this is not true, this is not the reality, what they did, they killed him. Now, you are saying that we should ask the question, we should ask ourselves, we should ask it to everybody, might be that why are you doing this? Why is it happening? Why do we have to do the way it is going on? My question is, would they accept it? Would society accept your why question? Because in Pakistan, it's very common to say, do not say why, because it would take you toward the war.
I take thank you very much for telling that very very interesting anecdote. Reminds me of rather Karamazov, Dostoevsky's novel. Very 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 interesting stuff. Um, Now, hey, I have two kids.
Hmm.
One daughter, she's 5 years, and another
Mashallah.
younger son. He's 1 year old. So
Mashallah.
my daughter, she started. So when she started, she would say, "What that? What that? What that?" After that, I could see, I could observe. Then she said, "Why? Why, mommy? Why, daddy?
Hmm.
We are born with these, right? So should we kill? Should we restrain? Should we imprison? Should we impose penal laws on these children? Yeah, who ask what,
Hmm.
why? And I think now, when she's growing, this is really interesting. I think it has been a wonderful experience to be a parent. It helped me become a good teacher. That how her journey from what to
Hmm.
why, and now how. Now we are very
Hmm.
imaginative. She's very imaginative. Everything speaks for her. Her cars. So I have to pretend I'm car. I'm Audi. I speak. And then we were walking in the park. Then trees speak to her.
Hmm.
Insect speaks to her. Right. Very imaginative. And we created these stories. So one of our stories, England. So it's a kitten has taken over the whole country, and they just name England as England. And our pet, her name is Rory. She's the queen. And
Hmm.
then Birdland, it attack England, and there is a war. And then England win, and then Rory has to give a speech. My dear countryman. So she has to pretend to be a queen, right?
Hmm.
I am so proud that you have fought for your homeland,
Hmm.
England. May God save England. And this we do it, right? And then we had Kittistan, right? About Pakistan, right? So
There's a
we
Kyrgyzstan.
took
All right.
exactly. So much imagination, like everything speaks, everything has a voice. So what happens? What education system does all over the world? I'm not. I don't want to specify Pakistan. Is
Hmm.
kill this creativity,
Hmm.
this imagination, this instinct of asking questions. Now, I don't want to be too much dramatic. I do understand that there is difference between religion and philosophy. So in
Hmm.
philosophy, questions which cannot be answered, and in religion, answers which cannot be questioned.
Hmm.
Right. So yeah. So I mean, we just maybe keep
Hmm.
these two together,
Hmm.
uh, and knowing that what's their nature, or what's their essence. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Well, coming back to my last question of this interview, is that you have already given us this exposure that we have to figure out that why are we doing this thing? Why is something that we should take it like our cell phone with us, and we should, for every single situation, for every single uh, question, might be for every single solution, we should ask why. What is the purpose of that? Why? So, but it's not easy. We understand that. This is also something that we have to make it in the environment that everybody is thinking like that. For which, what do you think? And what do you think? Like, what should be the procedure, or what should be the steps being taken by the government or by the institution to develop this environment over here in this country, to be specific, in Pakistan? So, what are the steps by being taken by the government? What are the steps should be taken by the institutions for that thing, to giving this type of awareness to the students or to the
I want
youngsters?
to I want to highlight 2 points.
Please.
One historical and another more contemporary. Let me start with historical.
Hmm.
We all know that how Muslims translated Greek knowledge and philosophy, maths, medicine into
Hmm.
Arabic,
Hmm.
philosophy and all that. So this is how when Europe was in dark ages, all that knowledge was preserved by Muslims, and then during when Enlightenment period started in 12th century,
Hmm.
as a result of crusades and interaction with Muslims, all that knowledge was transferred to Europe, and then the whole process of Enlightenment starts. Now, what we forget or what we don't ask is that why did it happen, and why
Hmm.
it's not happening now, right?
Hmm.
So translating Greek knowledge into Arabic was perfectly fine. No one actually imposed fatwa on Farabi or Ibn Sina or whatever. Hey,
Hmm.
why are you doing this? Right now, the argument is given that oh, Islamic civilization was expanding, it was triumphant, and their taking of Greek knowledge was taking the knowledge of the subdued. Right?
Hmm.
But the real story is there was a political context to it.
Hmm.
Umayyads were overthrown by Abbasids, and Abbasids had overthrown Umayyads on the basis of their slogan that they will restore Prophet's family to political power.
Hmm.
And when they got power, they actually refused to fulfill their promise.
Hmm.
Now, from religious perspectives, they were being attacked. They say, hey, we need to bring some rationality. And where the rationality and reason will come? It will come from Greek. And
Hmm.
then it was an expanding empire.
Hmm.
It needed mathematics, it needed medicine just for the armies to build castles, right?
Hmm.
So, so the material reasons, right, for this, the why question, need to understand why we cannot ask why question in Pakistan. There is a reason for this, right? And then you ask that government should do. This is my second point. That is contemporary. Government will not do anything which does not serve its purpose. Government will not do anything which does not prolong it. And
Hmm.
politicians will do anything, literally anything, which may prolong them into power because that's the whole purpose of being a politician. As a
Hmm.
politician, you're not a charitable person. You're not somebody who is just interested in things for the sake of it. There are some people who are ideologically motivated,
Hmm.
but the whole purpose of being in politics is actually to become powerful, to become form a government,
Of
right?
the stay
No,
powerful. Hmm.
exactly. So government will not do anything which does not serve its power. Now, if I were to understand that how government should do it, I will
Hmm.
understand what makes government to do certain things. Huh? What makes government to do certain things? Win elections? How you
Hmm.
can do win elections? In Pakistan, it's very simple. You win electables and that's done, right? Now, if I am a policymaker, if I have to make an intervention, I will say, look, maybe we need to turn the standards, need to change things, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
what makes people vote for a certain politician? It's not that if you are caught into some role and you are detained in a police station and you want your politician to go and basically rescue you. If the standard is changed that you will vote if they open up school and provide education, only then
Hmm.
you will vote, then the standard is changed, right? So I would urge my our viewers, please don't get frustrated, try to understand things, right? And it's unfortunate that we don't have much time, um, that we could not focus on how we can help youth to achieve their goals.
Hmm.
One of the things is that they must visualize what they want to be. They need to
Hmm.
have role models.
Hmm.
And role models should be realist. You have seen, you have met them. Historical figures, they were important in their own right. For me, going into law simply Jinnah, right?
Hmm.
So I went into public sector schools. Jinnah and Iqbal were my heroes. I actually had their pictures in my home, right? So it was not enough for me that we had Jinnah and Iqbal in our school. I brought them home also, right? So when I passed my matriculation, I was the top student and I was expected to read sciences and become either engineer or doctor. I said, look,
Hmm.
I have to become Jinnah, right? But then when actual reality hit me, when I just did law and saw that, oh, my father is not Punja Jinnah, I cannot go for bar. I cannot afford just keep on practicing for 2 years, even if I don't get even a single brief, right? So
Hmm.
my father was a farmer. There was then enough funds after I graduated. There was expectation that I will start earning and start sporting because they had invested in me 5 years
Hmm.
of university education, right? So the reality was different. And then I had to find different role models. And different role models are, who are they, right? People you have seen, like if in legal career, you have maybe Salman Akram Raja. You just see what made Salman Akram Raja. How long did it take?
Hmm.
Then it will make your journey and the hurdles you face during your journey more bearable, right? So life actually molds you. It reminds me of a picture of a person who's actually carving himself or
Hmm.
herself out
Hmm.
of a stone, right?
Hmm.
So if you want to become a professional, whatever professional you want to become, doctor, engineer, lawyer, academic, hey, it took me post my undergrad 2015 until 2014 that I got tenure track. And it was only in 2020 that I got permanent job, got tenure, right? So
Hmm.
it took me 15 years from my graduation to become an associate professor with a tenure at a university. Now, if you want to become an academic, if
Hmm.
you want to become a teacher or professor at a university, this is the time it will take. Now,
Hmm.
if you set your eyes on this and you have this time span, 15 years will pass and whatever problems you face, they will become bearable. The issue is that when you don't see light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, this
Hmm.
happened to me. I just did not have any lawyer in my family. My mother is illiterate. My father didn't go to college, right? And when I graduated, I had absolutely no idea what I have to do with my life. So
Hmm.
just going with the flow. But one thing I just knew, that whatever I do, I want to be the best, or I want to be the best version of myself. So
Great.
I started practice. I said, oh, I'm doing well. But then I had a chance of teaching as an adjunct in Qaid-e-Azam University back 2006. I said, oh, I loved it. I would love to be a teacher, right? And then I went for my master's, and then I did my PhD. I was doing very good, doing international arbitration. There is lots of money into it, and I was doing well. I was working in one of the best law firms, highly
Hmm.
paid, highly
Hmm.
respected. I was earning money. I had very good career, but
Hmm.
that was not something which I was enjoying. But I
Hmm.
was enjoying. It's a privilege to be interacting with young people. Believe me, Farhan,
Hmm.
I just see students entering, they are 17 or 18,
Hmm.
and then when they graduate, 22 or 23, they are scholars. Believe me, in my
Hmm.
final year, I don't call my students, I call them scholars. You
Great.
see them grow, right? And honestly, I must admit, in camera, in front of you, I have simply been pretending to be a teacher for the past 1 decade. My students don't realize that actually I was the student and they were the teachers, right? So I've
Hmm.
been constantly learning from them, constantly learning. And
Amazing.
believe me, I have taught variety of students,
Hmm.
undergrads, postgrads, professional courses, you know, taught executive business law for executive, taught judges, very senior judges, such as judges of anti-terrorism court, right? So I've been teaching in Punjab Judicial Academy for 5 or 6 years. Taught international judges, judges in Afghanistan, judges in other countries.
Hmm.
Students I found in Pakistan, honestly, the best kids, inquisitive, hungry for knowledge,
True.
hungry to excel, true hunger you just see, right? Craving for it. So I think it's a privilege for me that I have had this honor to be their professor, to
Hmm.
be their teacher. Although I think I was the one who was learning from them.
That's wonderful. Well, Zubair, thank you so very much for your time. It was such an intellectual talk we had today. And this is something I feel like would give the real benefit to the viewers as well. So, I mean, I really wish to have more questions. I really wish to listen to you more the way you have the extensive knowledge of very, I mean, it seems like that you are just standing on the corner, but there is an ocean inside you and you want to jump into that. And we also want to explore that thing. So, for that thing, I'll be disturbing you. I'll be asking you to give me time again and again, might be once a month, twice a month. I'm not going to leave you right after this meeting. It's going to be the beginning. It's not going to end. It's going to be the beginning, inshallah. Well, thank you so very much for your time, Zubair.